Hey, let's talk about Temple of Chaos. Let's talk about what I believe is the optimal strategy for each of the stages. Now, it is still the first day, so you probably want to cross-reference whatever I am saying with what other people are saying, but as of right now, these are the best strategies for each one of the stages that I've been able to find. Let's talk a bit about the mechanics of the dungeon. We have 3 decks. Every deck will get up to 50 turns or until they get defeated, but we obviously don't want that to happen, so we want to use up all of our 50 turns. And the boss works a lot like, for example, the mana event Mimic, so whenever you kill it, it just respawns and gains another level. With each level, it has more HP, which allows you to do more damage, and we want to deal as much damage as we possibly can to the boss. There are some other mechanics so that this dungeon isn't just the repeat of all the other dungeons. For example, it takes less damage from stuff that is proportional to the enemy's max HP. So for example, Luna or Shaman will do pathetic amount of damage and we don't really want to use them. Also, it gets less damage whenever they get attacked by a monster on not the monster's turn. So for example, if you use Twins or Ikaru, it's going to do way less damage than you would expect. And then it does a bunch of attacks depending on what the stage is, but honestly you really want to ignore all of the parts where it says that the boss attacks you, because once the boss actually starts hitting you, you will very likely die, so we want to avoid that at all costs. Basically, whenever your team takes 4 turns in total, the boss moves. So basically we want to make sure that we kill it at most every 4 turns, but because we want to maximize the damage and the max level the boss has, we want to kill it way more frequently than every 4 turns, and that's what we're going to be focusing on in this video. So let's start with stage 1. As of right now, I believe that the optimal strategy is to go Hwahi first, and then you go for 2 damage dealers and 2 defense breakers. I think that the 2 best defense breakers for this are Twins, just Shaina Sabrina, and for the 2 damage dealers, you have several options. One of them is Lucas, one of them is Jean. Other good monsters for this are going to be Kyle / Dalsim, and the Fire Gojo. I have no clue where he is, but he's good. Other than that, you could use Gilaum, you could use something like Astar, which you can also use as your defense breaker is Carcano. I think he might be one of the most underrated monsters for this, because every other turn he just solo kills one wave. But for now, let's just hop right in with this team. So we're gonna have Hwahi first, and then interlacing defense breakers and damage dealers. Right now, I'm going to be using the test mode. The stage 2 in the test mode is a bit broken, so the levels from stage 1 do not transfer to stages 2 and 3, but I'm gonna talk about what the effects of that are when we get to the stages 2 and 3. First, we have the stage 1. We hit pause as soon as we can. Ideally, we would want Hwahi to one-shot the boss on the first turn, but we just go for kills every single time that we possibly can. So the first 3 turns are just going to be straight up kills, and then we cannot overkill the boss, as in the damage that we overkill the boss by will not count. So you want to save your heavy hitting skills if the boss is, for example, on low HP. And as I said, the boss takes a turn whenever your monsters take 4 turns. So you want to kill it at most every 4th turn. Otherwise you get defense broken, and that just leads to you dealing less damage to the boss. We are aiming for around level 20 or 22. And we're aiming for about 1.4 to 1.6 million damage in the first stage alone. So, as I said, we always have a defense breaker, and then we have a damage dealer. And then Hwahi just does whatever she does. She's going to basically be just buffing attack. Right now we're at turn 35 out of 50. And we're at level 8. Defense break, kill the boss. Defense break, kill the boss, and you do this 25 times, and then the stage 2 begins. And like this, we're basically killing the boss twice in every 5 moves. we have a bit over 1.5 million from the first stage. So for the second stage, if you have Draken Warrior, you should use the Draken Warrior. It is by far going to be the best monster for the second stage, or you can use it in the third stage. However, I believe that going for the Draken Warrior in third stage is going to be a gamble. I think it is better for the second stage, or at least it is easier to rune. Because I don't have him, we're going to be using a similar style of team as in the first stage. So we're going to be having a permanent attack buff and then 2 defense breakers interlaced with 2 damage dealers. For the defense breakers, Fami is a great option because she will always have elemental advantage. So she will always defense break on both skill 1 and skill 3. And then Chris has basically the same skills as Fami, so Chris is going to be serving the same role. If you don't have Chris, Prelia should do exactly the same thing. As I said, this is a bit bugged, so right now we're entering the stage 2, but it says level 1. So in an actual run, you will be starting at whatever level you left off from the first stage. Right, so here we just have Seek, buffing, attack, and then we start killing the boss. Once again, we have defense break followed by a damage dealer. I am just going to fast forward through this because it is exactly the same thing as the first stage and nothing interesting really happens here, and see you at the stage 3. Now on the second stage it says we did 1 million damage. That is because this team is actually weaker than the first team, and also because we started at level 1 in the second stage, even though we should have started where we left off at the stage 1. So if you use exactly the same team for the stage 2 in an actual run that is not testing run, you can expect this score to be way higher. As for the third stage, I think this is one of the best teams that you can go for. I've seen people going with Kali and Shizuka, so Kali would buff invincibility and attack buff, and then Shizuka would spread it over the entire team. Also, Shizuka S2 can decrease cooldown on Katarina skill 3. But we're going to be going in with this team. Pontos is of course going to be better than Chloe, but you can just as well run this team with Chloe. Just the setup takes a bit longer, so I'm just going to show you how you can run it like this. And we hit pause at the start. We don't buff immunity right away. We buff attack first. Unfortunately, we got attacked here. It is not really consequential in the end. Here we don't use the skill 3 on Katarina yet, and here we don't use the skills on the Holyberry Cookie and Homunculus either. On the second turn of Chloe, we buff the immunity, and then straight away with the Madeline, we go for skill 3. And now we start using the skill 3 on the Katarina. And we should have it ready every rotation like this. Sometimes it can be dependent on whether or not you get grades, but usually you can expect to have the sort of discharge. It is a bit RNG if you don't have Pontos, but hey, it is still a good team. Anyways, with this type of rotation, you can expect quite a bit higher score actually than 1.2 million, because remember, we still don't have the levels from the first wave because of the bug. So you can expect like 1.2 to 2 million damage depending on how many grades you got. Here is the recording of how I got my 4.2 mil damage without the Draken Warrior in the leaderboard. Please make sure to watch the video till the end, leave a comment down below the video, and consider subscribing. That's it for this one, and see you in the next one.